All right.
We're into it.
Episode 4.
Happy 4th birthday. Is that how we treat these?
No, I don't think so. We can't
It's not like a weekly birthday?
No. That
Okay.
might get annoying. Speaking of birthdays, though,
Just move on.
you shouldn't have set it up. It was Peter's birthday this week.
Yay.
You know what? I think it's fair to say that you are officially at an age where your birthday joke is that you turned 25. Right? Is that fair?
29 again. Actually, I had somebody mention the other day that they consider their birthdays leveling up.
That's pretty cool.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, I leveled up.
Like in
pretty high level.
in wisdom or
Definitely not in wisdom.
loss of, I don't know, youth?
I got new shoes that are a little higher, so I've gotten.
Okay, cool.
I leveled up.
Some platforms. Well, happy birthday, Peter.
Thank you.
Congrats.
We celebrate with another edition of The Road the Stage.
Week 4. Make sure you're watching on YouTube, subscribing to the Bose
That's
Barn
a
Stage
big
YouTube
thing
channel. Huge.
that a lot of people don't understand how much it helps. When you go to YouTube to watch it, there's a little tiny subscribe button, and you're probably already signed in to your Google account anyways.
So why not subscribe?
It's a little click. Even an old guy like me knows to just.
I'm going to guess you're subscribed to Bose Barn Stage on YouTube. You're subscribed to the White Buffalo, San Francisco Giants.
I might get updates hourly.
Calgary Flames.
Oh, yeah. For
Okay,
sure.
never mind. Yeah, subscribe and then follow us on social media, The Road the Stage. Episode 4, we're minutes away from connecting on Zoom with Dave Ritter.
I don't know how the hell we're lining up. Like every guest so far has just been killer. And I'm very excited about Dave. Dave's kind of the self-described nerdy Strumbella.
Yes, from the Strumbellas, we should say.
And they've got a brand new song out called My Greatest Enemy.
Yeah.
And Dave's keyboard.
Very talented. All of them are really talented musicians, but he's one of the many vocalists in the Strumbellas and a keys player, keyboardist. How do you think? Maybe we'll ask him how he likes to be described. But based in Toronto, like you said, the Strumbellas have their new single out called Greatest Enemy. We're going to talk about that with Dave because I don't like. Is it 4 from something?
It's
Is there an
a
album?
new project, but
All
you
right.
know what? Why don't we let Dave talk about that?
All right, sounds good. Dave for a third time, kind of, sort of.
Woo! We're making it happen. He's been waiting so long for this chat that he got so hungry.
You know what I find remarkable?
Last bite.
Last bite. I find when I was kind of looking into the Strumbellas and more specifically the Strumbellas recently, was that it seems like most of you share responsibilities for promoting the band. Like everyone's doing something, whether it's this radio station or that radio station or this podcast or this article. It was kind of nice to see. I feel like I don't always get to see that.
Is that by design, Dave? Like, do you guys just kind of divide and conquer? Is that the thought behind it?
We are an unusually democratic organization. My just anecdotal impression of other bands is that, there's usually like 1 or 2 people who kind of do stuff for the most part, and we all do stuff. And sometimes it's fun. Like sometimes you can be like, oh, this interview's with, our drummer and stuff. And other times it's just like a waking nightmare. Like if you ask any of our record producers like what it's like to be in the booth with like all 6 of us being like, no, the drum fill should be more like this, like it's just terrible.
A few extra days of studio time tacked onto the end because of that, maybe.
Yeah, I think they're really like used to working with like 1 or 2 people, and then it's just all of us just all crammed into this small space.
I don't know. It's a beautiful thing to see, especially, I don't know if there's any sort of connection, but you guys have, and I know Pete really likes vocal harmonies. I love them too, but you guys, I would assume, spend a ton of time working on those. I wonder if that kind of connectedness has anything to do with that democratic institution you're running in the Strumbellas.
Yeah, I do think there's something about my favorite band is the Beach Boys, so I'm like a big harmonies person. But I do think there's something about the fact that everyone in the band sings, and then that makes it like then everyone in the crowd or a lot of people in the crowd sing too. Like I think there's so many of us. There's 6 of us, and then we're all singing together. I think it's kind of like brings a togetherness kind of vibe.
It's very cool.
This is the most important question I had for this entire interview, and you can just give me a straight yes, but it ties in with all of this, so I'm glad we're getting into it early. So the road, the stage, we focus on, bands, journeys, and driving. I picture the six of you in whatever vehicle it is that you're bombing down the road in from show to show with just a massive group sing-along from the moment you leave till you get to the venue. It's just a big group sing-along the whole time. Please say yes.
No.
Damn it.
No. No, I mean, there has been so many different ways in which this band has traveled around. I'm sure we'll get into it, but no, there's a lot of just people vaguely annoyed at each other with their headphones on, staring at, and like everyone's binging like something different, watch it on their laptop.
Well, they say you should never meet your heroes, and I feel like that's that moment.
I want to kind of transition to something that the listener or watcher, viewer, should have picked up on by now. It's the fact that you guys are wearing the same shirt.
It's like we're the same person. Like
it's really, it's very.
May I ask where you purchased yours?
So mine's Eddie Bauer. I don't think they're exactly the same because I can see that yours has a button.
Oh, right.
I've got a button. And I do believe
mine doesn't.
I want to say mine's Wrangler. I think
the
I'm Wrangler.
myth is dead.
It's the West versus East thing. The Wrangler versus.
Oh yeah, you're wearing cowboy.
I'm wearing cowboy clothes.
He's wearing camping gear.
Yeah, but for the listeners, like seriously, it's like exactly the same, and we definitely didn't plan it.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. This is pretty much the Canadian jacket right here. It's red and black plaid.
I'm sorry, you're ignoring the famous denim. What's the?
Oh, it's not quite the Canadian tuxedo.
It's Canadian tux, right?
It's the penultimate Canadian tuxedo. I don't know.
Well,
anyways, that's a good-looking jacket, Dave.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Same to you.
In regards to Dave's style specifically, I saw a picture recently, and I think we'll probably bring it up on the video. But it made me think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that you might have the best style. I don't want to start a competition, but the best style in the Strumbellas. You were wearing it was like a leather bomber, and I think I saw suede on it, and there were absolutely giraffes.
Yes, I'm aware. I'm familiar with the jacket.
Was that something you guys showed up for a photo shoot, and they were like, "Here, take this jacket. This would look sweet on you," or you're bringing that on your own?
No, I do have like a slight weakness for cool jackets. I have too many jackets, but that jacket was custom made for me by our stylist for our Juno performance, where we played Spirits the year that we won Juno for Single of the Year, which I want to say was like 2016, 2017.
Right.
And so, yeah, and God bless her, she did a great job. I very often, oh goodness, how could you say anything about having stylists that doesn't just sound stupid? But I very often find people don't know how to dress me. Again, if you don't have the video, I'm a larger individual, and people just don't it's like they're trying to dress like a, I don't know, something, like a swarm of bees. Like they just don't understand how to do it. But this particular thing, this particular event, she did great. And yeah, that jacket's cool. It's a bomber with all these safari animals.
Okay, so it's more than just giraffes.
Yeah, there's various animals on it.
Okay, very cool.
I don't think I have the best style though. I really like fun stage clothes, but Simon has the best style. Simon, our singer, and his style is the best because he can literally just wear anything, and it just looks. He just pulls it off, and it's just impossible to understand how he does it. He'll be like, yeah, or we'll be like, hey man, nice aquamarine pants you're wearing. He'll be like, yeah, I got these, an old lady left a bunch of her pants in the lobby of my building, and now I'm wearing them and they look great. He's just one of these people. He just shows up and he'll be like, guys, I'm ready for the show, and he'll be wearing this ankle length shirt, and we'll just be like, all right, I guess that's what he's wearing tonight, and it always looks great.
Well, to be fair, in that picture, and I think we will show it, he is wearing a magnificent, almost purplish, royal blue, full top to bottom suit, and some beautiful wide brimmed hat. But I like you're a sucker for jackets. I'm a sucker for bombers, so I think I noticed it immediately.
Yeah.
Well, who's got the better hats, right? Because Simon's hats are pretty. He's got those big wide brims, but I mean the Dave hat is so iconic.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Thank you. That started out as a joke, and now
that's the best.
Again, for the listeners who don't I often have a baseball cap that says Dave on it, and it's funny because then now I go out on stage and people sometimes chant, Dave, 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 and I think, wow, they really like me. And then some shows I won't wear the hat, and they just won't do it, and then I'll think they don't like me anymore. I haven't figured out yet that it's just about the hat. I just think it's about me personally.
Do you mind delving into why you what the joke was of wearing the Dave hat? Were you sick and tired of having to tell interviewers who you were?
No, I think I just honestly, it's really hot on stage, and sometimes you play outdoor shows and you're just in direct sun, in the middle of the summer. It's just unbelievably hot. It's just sometimes it's nice to have a hat to just sort of keep things together. And I don't know. I think I had a hat that just said music at one point that I thought was funny or stupid and funny. And then I think I just made one once because I thought it was silly. And then it just slowly became an every night thing. So there's not like a great story of how it occurred, but it started out as just sort of a silly joke. And now, here we are like 4 years later.
Well, I think next time the Strumbellas come through Red Deer, you and I should get Dave hats.
Dave hats? Yeah.
And then
then everybody's going to be confused. They're going to have no idea. And Dave and I will be wearing the same jacket.
We should just hand out Dave hats to everyone that goes, and then Dave will feel more than loved.
Is that a line of merch for the Strumbellas? Can a fan buy a Dave hat?
We have done small runs occasionally. And sometimes people will make their own Dave hats. It's very cute and very fun.
Very cool.
Well, I do remember that hat made a big impression. You guys came through Red Deer. Would have been February of 2019.
Was it 2019?
I think it was 2019 for the Canada Winter Games. What do you remember about that performance? It was an empty field that they put up a big inflatable tent that held about 2,000 people, I think, maybe 3,000.
And it was minus 40.
And it was minus 40
for the whole week.
It was cold.
I'll give you I will give you an honest, a very honest answer.
Please.
I remember nothing about the performance, but I don't want you guys or anyone from Red Deer to take this personally. I remember my memory. It's like I'm like a goldfish or something. I can't remember anything, and it's very awkward. I often will meet people at shows, and they'll say, "Hey, we met in Sault Ste. Marie, and it was great, and you had such a good." And I sort of pretend I don't want to be nice, and I don't want people to have hurt feelings, and I'll say, "Oh yes, of course," or they'll say, "Do you remember this festival that you played in Owen Sound 2 years ago?" And I'll say, "Oh yeah, what a great show." And so anyway, that would have been the political answer, is to say "Oh yeah, that would have been great," but I have absolutely no memory of it. And I'm sorry about that, but it's not that I have no memory of that show. It's that the tours, they just blur. So I sometimes will remember a nice lunch we had or whatever, but it's really, it turns into this pretentious thing in what's that movie, the mockumentary about the rock band, the
Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
where they can't remember the
The
town
word?
that they're in.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I know that that's this pretentious musician thing, and this is sort of the opposite of that, where it's I usually know where I am, but I can't remember where I've been.
Wow.
So I'm sorry, but it's not it's nothing personal. But
at least you own it.
I love the honest answer.
Deficiency.
I love the honest answer. And I mean, let's be honest, when you're playing venues, how much do you actually see out into the crowd? With all the lights and everything on you, how much can you actually see of the venue that's in front of you?
Usually the light techs are good at it's true that often while the song is going on and the lights are bright, sometimes you can't see, but often the techs are good at bringing up the lights or the house lights, so you can see the crowd in between the songs, and you get quite a good amount of time in the venue before the show starts, for sound check, and you're just kind of walking around and getting a drink, so you can get a feel for the place. I mean, we love play. You know, have toured out west countless times, so I have like lots of good memories of playing in Alberta and stuff. But I just, you know, specifically like, oh, do you remember like, you know, this March 19th, like 3 years ago? Like, I know, I have no idea.
So I like, have you like figured out why that is specifically? Like when you're going on stage night after night after night, or in that instance, you guys were actually at our radio station earlier that afternoon playing for a very select group of listeners. Like, do nerves come into play? Do you get nervous to go on stage?
Not usually.
Okay.
But they come out in sort of weird ways. So like I don't often feel nervous, but then I'll realize that I'm like fidgeting, you know, in this like really specific way. So like I think yeah, the nerves, and I notice this in my bandmates too. You know, like there will be some person who gets like really hungry and another person who like can't eat, but like we're all like pretty calm. Like we're all sort of, you know, the like real like jacked up nerves, I think, left us several years ago, but like little subtle ways.
So has anybody had that moment on stage? I guess more specifically probably Simon, because he's speaking the most, where you guys have kind of forgotten where you are. Has there ever been that awkward moment? Wrong name of a city called out, or?
Well, at that point, you just don't say the name ever.
I think I'm trying to decide how honest to be. No, I think I said hello Pittsburgh in Philadelphia.
Oh.
Or I said hello Philadelphia in Pittsburgh. And that's like a particularly bad one, right? Yeah. Because they're both in Pennsylvania, and that, you know, there's definitely a rivalry between them. And I recovered, well, I mean, sort of recovered almost right away and made it like into a joke.
That's impressive.
But it's really rude. Like I feel very bad about it. And it's not because, you know, like we live a jet-setting lifestyle and I can't tell one private plane from the next. It's just because I'm dumb. Like I wish people would understand that it's not because, you know, like I have too many gold-plated, I don't know, teeth or something. It's because, you know, I'm just like stupid. That's why I make these mistakes.
I'm loving this honesty.
It's absolutely one of my favorite concert memories. I saw Kiss play, and for some reason they decided to have this big, huge video screen behind them that shows their faces really close up. And it was in Calgary, and yeah, Paul Stanley was doing a break between songs, and he was like, hello! And you could see his eyes look down to the stage, and then back up again, Calgary! But yeah, sometimes you need that. You need those little reminders.
The nudge.
Placed around the stage.
So, okay, and like, I mean, we don't have to harp on you for this for too much longer, but
it's okay.
Recently, you guys were celebrating 5 years since Hope. And there's a great, on your Instagram, I didn't even know you could do this on Instagram, but you have like a photo album of all these memories from that explosion behind that record, which included appearances on a bunch of late night talk shows in the States. Do you remember those shows?
Those ones I remember. Because they're so unusual,
right?
And yeah, that year was very that year was a whirlwind. I mean, we went from being, you know, a mid-level Canadian band that toured a lot and toured in a van, and to really spending a lot of time in airports and playing a lot more in the US and Europe than I think we ever thought. And doing a bunch of TV and things that we didn't normally get to do. So yeah, it was really fun. I remember a lot about that year.
How much, you know, I remember when Alabama Shakes really blew up. I remember reading an article about the trouble that they would have maintaining that success, because they did kind of blow up overnight. How much do you credit, you know, the stuff that you went through, you know, those long nights in tour vans and a bunch of you crammed in together, to being able to handle that success once it came?
Yeah, I think I was going to say we're in a unique position, but I wonder if a lot of bands are like this, where we sort of have experienced both, where we have the slow build, where we're playing shows in, you know, empty bars in Medicine Hat, you know, for years. And when we started out as a I think 9-10 piece folk band playing farmers markets on Sunday mornings, you know. And so we have the experience of slowly building a fan base for a number of years, mostly in Canada. And then we also have the experience of growing quickly in the States. And so we can kind of see both of those things, and the crowds in Canada and other places in the world react differently to like some of our older songs and stuff. So we have like a, we have kind of a experience of both. But maybe that's when, you know, maybe a lot of bands have that because they, you know, the old joke is the overnight success 10 years in the making. So, I mean, maybe a lot of bands are like this.
I wanted to ask you about the farmers market situation. Like that was, is that something that you guys still do? Is that something you still focus on? A nice little Easter egg on a Strumbellas tour?
No, we have not played a farmer's market in a long time. But those were good times.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. So, but you guys would plot out farmers markets, I'm assuming in Ontario, like other places in Canada as well?
No, it was just something where I think we just knew a few people, and it was just some of our early gigs were just, you know, we didn't have a drummer, and we played a lot of acoustic music at the time. And so it was just sort of a good fit. You know, we were just like, Simon had a long beard and bare feet, and there was like a clarinetist in the band and a mandolin player, and it was like farmers market bluegrassy music.
Yeah, it fit.
You know, so no, we played them mostly around Toronto, and we played, you know, pedestrian Sundays in Kensington Market, and we played some shows that were actually at night, you know. But yeah, I mean, but you know, it was sort of, we would take any gig we could get.
I couldn't find any farmers market footage specifically, but I did find an old video from Southern Souls, which we'll post a link to, of you guys. I'm assuming, I mean, half of it was you just marching and playing a beautiful song, I believe, heading down the long steps into a Toronto subway. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, my favorite subway station in Toronto. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Which one is that?
DuPont. It has this. All the subway stations in Toronto have different design aesthetic. I think they were all designed by different people, and DuPont's my favorite. It has this kind of 60s futuristic feel to it.
Yeah, definitely. We'll post the link to that because it's just a beautiful video. Very cool.
Thank you. Yeah, cool.
Now you talk about those farmers markets days and having a clarinetist in the band. And has there ever been one instrument that somebody has wanted to bring into recording or thought would sound good in something that everybody's like, no? Like what's the one instrument that has been said no to?
That's a good question. You know, around the time when we were recording Hope, I started bringing synthesizers into the jam space. And that was an adjustment. Partly because I didn't know what I was doing. So, you know, I had to have this box, you know, that had a bunch of knobs on it and some keys, and I would plug it in and I'd turn all the knobs to 10, and then it would go, you know, and I'd be like, hey guys, doesn't this sound great? It's from the 70s. And they, you know, I remember, I think the first time I brought a synthesizer to the jam space, like a couple of my bandmates were walking in the door and they were like, what's that? That sounds awful. You know, like, why? Like, what is that? It sucks. So that was, yeah, I don't think anything's been like outright, like no one's allowed to play, you know, the sitar or something, but the synthesizers, it took some getting used to.
So what did you do to make them come around to the sound of it? Did you turn down the
learned how to play it?
Yeah, I think I learned how to play it. Yeah, I think that was the main thing. I may have I think I figured out what I was doing. That was like part of it. Made sure that it was a little more subtle than maybe the first few rehearsals.
That's fun. Did you get to use that on the Hope album? That's when you said you started bringing it around?
Yeah, that's sort of when when we started to feel more like inspired by like pop music and like big anthemic records. And so the more electronic touches on Hope started to creep in.
And just to confirm, you like never ended up bringing the synth to any farmers market performances, right?
No, because like they were very unplugged, so it never would have worked.
Well, I honestly can't think of too many bands that would work so well in a farmers market type scenario scenery as the Strumbellas would. Because I mean, having seen you guys fairly unplugged, I think in the station staff room a few years ago was amazing. It was incredible.
So when you're on the road, do you get a chance to go to farmers markets? Do you like to get out and explore some of those? Like, you're not playing there, but like, how do you wrangle 6 people? Like, I'm sure everybody's got a little something different they want to do on the very little downtime that you get.
Yeah, well, the farmers market on tour, I mean, there's not much you can do with like a bunch of green pepper. Like, you're not cooking a lot, right? You don't have a kitchen usually, so there's not much you can do with like heirloom tomatoes, like in a van when you're crossing the country. So it's not all that interesting. But yeah, everyone sort of has their own thing. I like to do, like, I'm often trying to eye some kind of museum or art gallery. There's people who are more like want to go for a run or a hike. There's people who, or like I'm like sometimes, depending on my mood, like I sometimes want to just stay in bed all day and, and binge something, nap. Yeah, depends on the Strumbella and on the day. And
now I was reading something you'd picked up that you guys are pretty consciously environmental on the road, and I think that's probably become far more prominent and relevant in recent years. So, do you have any like quick tips for other bands on tour that you guys have picked up over the years?
This is a testament to our bass player Daryl, who is bringing a lot of environmental consciousness to the band. Touring is very wasteful generally, apart from the fuel costs, which are like wild. But I think one thing that musicians can do that's fairly easy is just try to get rid of plastic water bottles. There's just plastic water bottles it's a staple of every like backstage, green room, and I understand that there's like a convenience factor for bands and for venues, but it's really wasteful. I mean, it's even more wasteful than normal, like regular use of plastic bottles in someone's fridge at home. You at least like will drink the water that's in it, but backstage, they're strewn everywhere, half drunk. Someone takes a sip and then has to go to sound check. And anyway, it's very wasteful. So, and this isn't something we innovated, but there's a lot of movement around just trying to have a zero plastic, or a zero bottle waste tour. And I think that's a good thing.
Damn, I really like that. It's a good tip for the tour, for the road, but also for backstage scenes. That's I hope some people start to see that, because I can only imagine the mess of, like you said, half-drunk water bottles that you've left and then forgotten if it's actually yours or not.
Yeah, it just takes some organization. Like, I understand why people do it. There's a lot of, especially at a festival, it's outside, it's hot. There's a lot of people running around into different locations, and they don't necessarily, take their reusable water bottle with them. But with a little planning and a little sort of dedication, you can do it.
And how much do you miss getting all that organizing? I mean, it's been a year since concerts have been a thing. What have you guys been doing during the downtime? I mean, obviously we'll talk about the new music that's come out, but what have you guys done? Like, have you been able to get together a whole bunch? Has it all kind of been writing and talking through group chats to get to a space of new music?
Yeah, well, I'm in Toronto right now, so we're pretty locked down. We've been locked down for a long time. Occasionally they loosen things a bit, and then we get locked down again. So, I mean, I don't think we've gotten together and played music, the 6 of us, since it started. Yeah, I mean, I miss it. It feels like it's been so long. I don't even totally remember what it feels like. I mean, it's wild. And so, yeah, we've been doing lots of different things. People are working on different creative projects. I had another baby
Hey,
during the
congrats.
pandemic. Thank you. So I have 2 little kids, and that obviously is like really time consuming. But yeah, just trying to stay sane, and yeah, and we do a lot of Zoom. We send demos, back and forth, and things like that. And then that's sort of why, like, we recorded Greatest Enemy and another song back in November during like a brief like window between between lockdowns, and it was wild. It was it was like, wow, we're all in the same room at the same time, masked and trying to maintain some distance. But it was like, oh, I actually like these people. I'm not just like angry at them on Zoom. I'm like, this is what like us all hanging out feels like, and getting to make some music together. It was like water in the desert.
Which you guys had a long break before that, right? Because you were supposed to go on tour it was last January 2020, I think. You guys had to back out of that. That story's out there. Had to take care of your own health, which is something you guys don't shy away from talking about. And then the pandemic happened, and you can't do anything about it. And then I was reading you guys came back in November. As I understand it, Greatest Enemy was that written before any of this had happened, and it wasn't until halfway through the pandemic that you actually kind of got it nailed down, smoothed out?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it existed as a demo in the band since before the pandemic, and then as we were working on it, it sort of occurs to everyone like, well, maybe this is, maybe the things that we're talking about in the song are things that a lot of people are feeling during this time.
As they've spent more time with themselves than ever before in their lives, perhaps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and the road isn't necessarily sometimes a help to that, right? Like sometimes those, the demons and the darker thoughts when you're traveling long distance, you've got that time on the road yourself, those things can kind of overtake a little bit, right?
Yeah. It's hard. I think to express, because you want to be. I'm very grateful. The fact that I have gotten to play as many shows as I've gotten to, and put out records, and that people want to hear them. It's like the great honor of my life, and I really wouldn't trade it for anything. And at the same time, touring is it's very difficult, and it's hard to keep those two, like the gratitude, the amazing thing that we get to do it, and the rigors of it. It's hard because they're sort of contradictory, but it's the way it is. And so a lot of people, a lot of musicians, a lot of crew people who do this kind of traveling, who sleep in a different bed every night, who are like away from the people and the places and the routines that make them feel centered, and who are, experiencing a lot of lack of sleep, who are experiencing a lot of airplanes and airports and stuff. It can be very depressing. It can be very triggering to anyone who has sensitivities around mental health. You're often sleep deprived of routine. You're often hungry, or eating poorly, or all the things that, if you're doing them at home, they might also be contributing to depression and anxiety. So it's a difficult thing to do.
So having gone through this, once touring gets going again, what have you learned that's going to help you when you guys get back out there and are doing it?
That's a good question. I think I've learned to just try to cut myself and everyone some slack. Like, I think, you can get quite, sometimes your bandmate or someone on the crew or someone at the venue might not have a kind word for you that day. Someone might say, do something rude, or they might just need some space. And I think I have learned to say, okay, that's whatever that is, it's probably not about me. Whatever is going on with that person is like part of their story. And I understand that. And I think we're getting better as a band at saying, like, okay, here's a day where I need some time to myself, and and here's a day where, you know, okay, I can go out and greet fans tonight, and I can talk to everybody, and I really like doing that. All of us really like doing that, and so needs a night off from that tonight, and maybe I'll need a night off tomorrow. So I think just everyone sort of becoming more cognizant that mental health on the road, but then also just in life generally is something we're becoming all more sensitive to. And so I'm trying to just understand that, like, whatever's happening, someone might just need like some slack.
Which I think there's been probably many bands and groups who have not made it past that stage. So that's pretty amazing that you guys you're aware of that at least. And like, you're not shy with promoting mental health awareness. I recently saw that you guys were, I'm not sure who in the band was doing like a guided workout with a gym, I think in Toronto or Hamilton or somewhere like that. That's pretty cool. You can just sign in, do a Zoom workout with the Strumbellas. Is that how that works?
Yeah, that was spearheaded by Izzy, our violinist, who's really into fitness, and of course, I mean, fitness is a big help with a lot of people's depression and anxiety, including mine. Mm-hmm. And yeah, just this whole year we have been partnering with CAMH, the Center for Addiction and Mental Health here in Toronto, and trying to raise money. And so that was one of, like, we have a few fun things that we're doing to try and raise money. And so that was one thing that we had this sort of online workout for mental health, and you can kind of sweat to Strumbellas tunes. It was really fun.
It's a very cool idea. And then one of those other things that you've been doing with the Center for Addiction and Mental Health, I think, were you guys on Instagram last night figuring that out? Someone was announcing it, showing off it. Pete, you saw this, right?
I did not.
Oh, it's with Limited Distilling, Canal Side Soda, and the Strumbellas, and they're selling this. It's called the Strumbellas Greatest Blueberry Kit.
Oh, the blueberry. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I didn't see the kit, but I saw the blueberry soda is available.
Yeah, it's a full kit. So you get the limited gin, this Canal Side Greatest Blueberry Soda, 2 fresh lemons, and dehydrated lemon wheels. And it's in support of CAMH, as you called it.
Yeah, that's been a super cool project. The soda company is called Canal Side. They have a little farm in the Niagara region, and they make the coolest fruit sodas, and they're I don't know, they're just so fun. They're not like Coke or Sprite that are often like really aggressive. They're just these like little bubbly, fruity, and they come in these small cute bottles. Anyway, I love them. They're such a cool company, and they were so down to collaborate, and it just sort of came together that they were pitching flavors, and I thought, well, Greatest Enemy, Greatest Blueberry, you know, that's like a fun thing. And so we have this super cool soda that you can buy. I think they only ship in Ontario right now, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, you can buy it. It's a blueberry, lemon, and basil soda, and it's really good. And it's really beautiful. It's this deep purple color, and and all proceeds go to CAMH.
Beautiful. Peter's the local craft beer guy.
Well, we got a lot of craft sodas, so the next time you come out here as well, there's some great craft sodas. And one of the things
there you go.
I appreciate as well, you've gotten into grilling quite a bit lately.
I have, yeah. I recently I live in a house instead of a condo now, so I have a backyard, which is very exciting that I got a grill. Yeah.
So what's your favorite stuff to throw on there? I think you had started slow. I think I'd seen an Instagram post that you'd started with just some sausages or whatever.
Man, you grill guys.
I also like to spend some time around my grill, so yeah, let's get into some.
Is a very weak word for what it actually is.
Yeah, I'm like a baby grill. I'm like just sort of on-roading, so like I don't even think I've tried a rack of ribs yet. I haven't smoked anything, so some of the things. I mean, some of the steaks that I've made are really great, but that's like pretty easy. And I'm sort of circling grilled chicken. I think I've like finally, I like the real, there's 2 like breakthroughs that I had recently. The one was that I think I now understand the difference between a barbecue sauce and a barbecue rub. So like, I know that's like that's very easy, but I think a lot of people who like aren't into grilling, like put the sauce on, especially with chicken, too early.
Yeah.
So that's something that I have figured out. And then the major, like, lights on in the house breakthrough is I just use a meat thermometer now. So before I was doing people will try and tell you, you know, oh, you can tell the doneness of your steak by pressing on your thumb and all this stupid crap. Just like buy a meat thermometer and your meat will never be overdone again. Like it's so simple, and I don't know why it took me until, you know, today years old to figure it out. But now everything I do, you know, is like pretty good instead of like really hit or miss previously.
You couldn't be more speaking my language. That it was honestly, it was life changing figuring that out and buying a temperature probe and cooking your meat to temp, as opposed to, you know, you'll see a lot of recipes that are like for 4 hours or cook this for 3 or what. But no, always go by internal temp. And when you get to your ribs, I'll just throw this out there now. We'll have to do like a separate food podcast later.
Okay.
But the 3-2-1 style ribs, just search 3-2-1 ribs. That's what you want to do for your first set of ribs.
There you go.
Life changing.
Any other tips you want to impart
like
on
I
the
said,
new Grill Master?
We'll start another podcast down the road here, and we'll do some foodie stuff.
Well, the thing that is really annoying my wife right now is that I bought this grill and I'm like, okay, I'm going to grill everything and blah, blah, blah. And then I immediately started getting into all this food preparation that involves a cast iron pan and smoking up my kitchen. So I don't know what happened, but now I want to make all my steaks in the pan. I want to make all my burgers in this pan. So it's very stupid. I really need to like rededicate myself.
Okay. So on that, Pete, it was just Pete's birthday the other day and he was gifted a cast iron pan. First time using one?
I haven't. I've got to season it yet. I haven't.
It's the first. You've never used one.
I've never used one before. So yes.
It sounds like you might have a tip or two.
Throw me some cast iron tips.
The steak basted in butter in the cast iron pan. That's the crust that's the best. That has beaten the steak on the grill for me.
And do you cook the steak start to finish in the pan?
Start to finish in the pan, and you're sort of, it's a little more, it's not as controlled as on the grill because you don't have the probe, you know, you're like hitting it with the instant read every once in a while. But yeah, start to finish in the pan. And then burgers in the pan too, which is like something that you wouldn't necessarily think about, but they're smashed in the pan with a metal spatula. And so anyway, it sounds like sacrilegious not to make burgers on the grill, but you take the ground beef in a little ball, put it right in the middle of the pan, you smash it with a stiff metal spatula, and it's like the best burger.
I got super excited a few months ago because I was really wanting to buy this cast iron pan that Matty Matheson had put out, chef in Toronto, and it came out and it was going to cost probably about $350. So which was, I mean, it's a piece of art, but I'm not like a professional in the kitchen yet. But yeah, you guys are making me jealous now. I might have to.
It is like, as you can probably tell by listening to us, it is just absolutely addicting getting into it and all the stuff you can learn, and you'll never eat so good.
Yeah, it's true.
It's to the point, like you say with your wife and you're cooking and smoking everything up. I've overdone it, so nobody wants to eat any of the smoked stuff I've done now because they're done with it. Whereas I'd every day if I could.
I think, well, I have small kids, so like the thing with us is that everything I want to make now is too complicated. Like we have to eat. We have 20 minutes to make a meal, and so most meals in 20 minutes are pretty, and everything I want to make takes 3 hours now. So it's too complicated basically.
So if you're putting the baby mush into the grill to get some smoke flavor to it beforehand, that's maybe a little overboard.
Right. Yeah, the frozen chicken fingers, if you do those on the grill, it's really a lot better.
I'm worried about when you go back on tour and you don't have access to your cast iron pan or your grill. Pete might have to fire his up when you guys stop in Red Deer.
Well, when we do our podcast, we'll talk about a bunch of bus food hacks. We're like sort of keeping track of them in the band. There's a whole band discourse around Easy Mac that you make in the microwave, and for people who don't know this, it's just a microwavable mac and cheese, craft dinner that comes in its own bowl. But there's controversy in the band about what you add to it afterwards that really, can perfect the recipe, and whether people are adding extra cheese, hot sauce, maybe some cut up hot dogs. Like there's a lot of bus cooking that people are really.
Do you have a pick?
For what
what's your Easy Mac edition?
Yeah, I think sriracha is probably
Okay.
my Easy Mac.
It's not too wild.
Sriracha, and then some probably maybe some grated cheddar. I think that's really.
I'm thinking, why not all the things? Like, why not just have a Strumbellas Easy Mac and everybody gets to put
Strumbella soda.
Strumbella soda, Strumbella Easy Mac.
Yeah. Strumbella smash burgers.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the new music and things looking forward. I mean, I know it's tough right now. Toronto's in a pretty good lockdown. We've got more restrictions here in Alberta, but there is still a lot of talk that maybe by the end of this year or early next year, things could be going again. Do you guys plan on trying to get an album done by the time touring gets going again, or are you guys kind of just happy with having a couple of songs ready to go?
We are always writing, and we're writing a lot right now, but we have there are no definite recording plans. Or if you ask me personally, like if there's no if I don't have to think of it, I would be on the first show. Like, I don't know, I would play a show in a sewer, like full of, anyway, I don't know. I would, I'm just so starved to do it. I would play it the first chance I get. But we'll need to have things loosen up a little bit so we can do some recording. And we are, the guy who produced Greatest Enemy, his name's Dave Schiffman, and he's from LA. So cross-border travel is like will remain complicated for the next little while. So so there's a lot of things kind of out there that we're dealing with logistically, but I mean, I would be on whatever plane or boat or like alligator you would send for me to take me to the next show if I could.
I imagine it would, sorry, Pat.
No, it's all good.
It would be difficult with a band as big as yours, but are you guys set up to record individually and then just ship that stuff, or do you guys prefer to be all in the room together to make it happen?
Our home setup is good for demoing stuff, but we prefer to have the studio and the producer. I think that sort of helps wrangle all of us because there's so many of us and we are all pig-headed and have big personalities. So the producer in the studio kind of helps just kind of organize everything and rein it in a little, I think.
You mentioned that Juno win earlier for single of the year, and which you're right was back in 2017. So it's been a few years since then. You were quoted saying, and Drake was one of the people you beat for single of the year. You were quoted saying, "We've heard that if you beat Drake, then you become Drake." We're pretty excited about this next phase of our career. Now, I could have left that second sentence out, but how's the becoming Drake going?
Well, anyone who's watching it on video can see that I'm in this very glamorous looking basement right now. Some fluorescent light.
But you have a backyard.
I do. I have a backyard. It's very luxurious for Toronto. I mean, it would be cool if Drake knew at some point that we existed. I feel like that would be like a really cool career achievement.
If he sampled the Strumbellas?
Feels a ways. Well, I mean, that's a whole other level. I mean, if he just was like, "Oh yeah, the Strumbellas," and then like continued doing what, like, I don't know, brushing his teeth with like a gold toothbrush or something.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, I think if we need some more like crossover Drake stuff, I think, to really like cement this next phase of our career. We should really aim for that.
I'm down. I'll listen to that.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, make sure our viewers and listeners listen to Greatest Enemy and check out the music video too. It's like super, super well done. Very cool.
Very cool. All right. Well, that's honestly, I think man, we could probably just keep you here all night, but I know you got kids to tend to, and we are going to talk barbecue. When you guys come through Red Deer next, you might not remember this, but I'm going to be like, "Hey, Dave, do you remember we did this podcast and talked about?" Oh, yeah.
I'll remember this for sure. You guys do your homework. So thanks for the great questions.
Thanks for joining us, and throughout the last few nights, we really appreciate it.
Oh well, I mean, one of them was my big screw up. So thank you guys for your patience.
It's all good, and we look forward to having you back in these parts. We'll hopefully have you in this same studio some year soon. We'll see. We'll see.
Awesome. Fingers crossed.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
It was fun.
Thanks, Dave.
Talk soon.
I'm so glad. We had some technical difficulties that
we mentioned it at the end.
Yeah, we were hoping to do this a couple of days earlier, and we had some glitches here and there. I'm so glad that it worked out.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, it was great. I mean, we had an interaction with Dave from the Strumbellas. You said 2019 for the Winter Games, right? They came by the station, and he was a really funny, charming dude then. And turns out that was the real deal.
And I don't even care if we lost every listener that we had during Meat Talk.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that. We're gonna have to talk about that off.
We're gonna try to do that with every guest.
I think maybe there's potential for when bands start rolling through town again to I don't know, do a video segment, Pete's Meat Shack.
I think we can set up a smoker back here somewhere, right?
You guys want to set up a grill in the studio?
I think we could get that. Just think of those sizzling sound effects and everything. Oh yeah, a new
so,
idea is born.
Yes, check out, and who knows, maybe on the next Strumbellas record, your conversation with Dave and his newfound love of grilling will influence the lyrical content of a song.
You never know.
Make sure you check out Greatest Enemy, out now.
And they have one more song coming, which is exciting.
And what else? Us?
Just smash
it up. The subscribe button, that is. The Bose Barn Stage YouTube channel, please subscribe, like, comment, if you will. Share, like our social medias.
Get on the Instagrams and the Twitters even.
All of them except for the TikToks. I do want to say, and we haven't done this enough, and we have to make sure, but we have to shout out producers Ryan and Ryley. We did in the first episode, I think, and I don't think we've done it since. It's pathetic. So thank you, guys. Someday we're going to show you their mugs. Their faces. We should cover up our faces with producer Ryan and Riley's faces.
I think that's the story I'd heard about how Dave's hat got started, is that he was missing from certain band appearances.
Oh.
So they brought in the Dave hat
as a representative.
Of Dave. So you get the Ryley hat, I'll get the Ryan hat.
No, I want their faces.
Have you seen them?
Yes, I have. Beautiful, beautiful men. All right. The Road, the Stage. Pete?
TikTok it up.
Wednesday.
The Road, the Stage is produced by Ryan Kuly and Ryley Surian. Recorded in Red Deer, Alberta, and in partnership with Bose Bar and Stage, Troubled Monk, and Tourism Red Deer. The Road, the Stage.